let's try again. Good morning, everybody. I was just rehearsing. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Open Forum. Glad you guys are all here. Hope you're all doing well. I want to share with you guys something real quickly, something that's a pet peeve of mine, but also something that gets you in trouble. This is sent to me by one of you guys, and it is an addendum that they had copy and pasted from another agent that they ran into somewhere. They ran into this paperwork. So this is the waiver of appraised value that we talked about before. I want you guys to read this. I don't know if I need to make it bigger. I can only see a few of your faces. I see you dual is really struggling to read it. So I might be able to make it bigger for you guys. But what I wanted to talk to you about is, let me make it a little bit bigger. There you go. In the event that the appraised value of the property is less than the purchase price, buyer agrees to pay the difference between the appraised value and the purchase price. Everything beyond this gets into legalese. Clearly not written by, oops, sorry about that. Now you guys all know who sent it to me. Clearly not written by a realtor, and shouldn't be written by a realtor, but something they got somewhere. And it may have been written by an attorney at some point, but what you guys see here is the first paragraph of this is all you need. So think about what you're saying when you write these. This first paragraph is something that you can write, makes all the sense in the world, tells you the whole story. Another thing you could have written is just that the buyer waives appraisal contingency. It means the same thing, right? So if you waive appraisal contingency, you're obviously going to have to come up with the rest of the money at closing, which is what you could either write this first paragraph, or you could write buyer waives appraisal contingency. That's all you have to write, guys. You don't have to get into 3 paragraphs of legalese. You're doing nothing but limiting your client even more, and you're writing stuff that you shouldn't be writing, because we're not licensed to write that kind of stuff. We are licensed, if you guys understand the FAR bar, the whole idea of the FAR bar, Florida Association of Realtors and the Florida Bar got together and wrote contracts that are detailed enough that an agent, a real estate agent, can just fill in the blanks. Okay, that's why they don't have us write our own contracts, right? They have contracts, you just fill in the blanks. When you start getting into addendums where you write paragraphs of stuff, that's where you start getting into trouble, and it's where you start acting like an attorney. Okay, does everybody understand that? Anybody have any comments about that? Good, everybody understands that now. So let's not get into that. Yeah, don't start writing legalese. Okay, so let's move on. Let's talk about what we came here to talk about today, which is evaluating land. I get a lot of questions for this. I see Bob Galvin's here. Bob sells tons of lots. Hi, Bob. You guys, what brought this into to us today, and in fact, the lady who brought it to my attention is in the meeting right now, which is great. This particular one is in Wedgefield. Not all of you will know where Wedgefield is. It's on the east side of Orlando. It's a bunch of lots that are typically 1 acre lots. It's a low-lying area, but there are tons of houses built there, but there's still tons of lots for sale. It's a big area with tons of lots. Streets are already in. Lots are stubbed out, which means they have utilities already brought to the property, just sitting out there waiting for people to build and hook up. Okay, so these are what we call finished lots. They're ready to go. They're not pad ready. They don't have pads on them yet, but they're lots. Okay. When you buy these, you still have to go through flagging the wetlands and making sure you can build the kind of house that you want to build on there. You still have to get plans and footprints for the houses and make sure that you can build what you want to build. Okay. So, but you guys run into this kind of thing a lot, whether it's a 5 acre tract somewhere or a city lot, like, Bob sells a lot of stuff down in Poinciana where they just have, small lots on streets ready to go. So there are all kinds of different values on those. In fact, we're going to get into that. So what is a lot worth? This particular lot we talked about, and how I have an agent in Tampa who's looking to build a lot. He's looking to buy a lot for himself. Now, a lot he's looking at is around $200,000. Okay, but he's going to buy a lot, build a house on it, and you know why he's doing this? Because he can't find any good new homes that he wants. Okay, he's got to wait a year for them anyway, so he might as well build his own house. Okay, so he asked me, this lot's priced at $240. What should I pay for it? And I told him, you should pay for it whatever you think it's worth. And how you find out what it's worth, and there should be some kind of benefit to you for building your own house, right? You're probably going to get divorced, so you might as well get something that you're going to get some money out of at the end, right? You should have some built-in equity when you get done. So he was gonna pay around 200 for this lot, and he was going to spend around 400 for the construction of the house that he's going to build. And so, is it worth 600,000 plus when you get finished? Is there some kind of equity that's going to be in this when you get finished? And that's really the only thing for him to decide, right? So he says, yeah, I think it'll be worth 750 when I get done. I said, well, there's 150 in equity then, if plus you're going to have change orders and overruns and stuff like that, and it's going to take longer than you think and everything else. But there you go. So you're going to have somewhere between 100 and $150,000 in equity when you get done. Is that worth doing for you? Probably, right? So that's up to him to decide. But generally speaking, and Bob's got different kind of lots down there, and I'm glad Bob showed up today, because I'm going to use him for an example, but I want to use the lots in Poinciana for an example. Anyway, that brings a great example. I wasn't actually thinking of it, but that brings a great example. So there are different kinds of lots, guys, but the general rule is for let's say a home builder, a Pulte or a DR Horton or something like that, they want to spend to about 20% of the finished home price. If they plan to sell in the 350s here, that's what they think they can sell. Well, let me pick a different number. Let's say they're going to sell around 300, so I can do the math. They just sell around 300. They're going to want to spend about 60,000 on a finished lot. Okay, meaning stubbed out, roads, retention, everything is in there. That's about what they figure they want to spend on that. Now, you will get lots like the ones in Poinciana, not extremely desirable, right? Where they sell for $20,000, $25,000, and they're going to build a $200,000 house on them, sell it for 200 or 250 or 275 even. Okay, so but then you get lots like on a lake, or like the one I was just telling you about, where the guy is spending 200 on it, and he's going to build 400 more. That's more of a premium lot, right? A 5-acre tract that's worth $189,000, and they might put a mobile home on it for all we know, right? But when you get a more desirable lot, a bigger lot, something on a lake, people will spend $1 million on a lake and spend $1 million on the construction, and now they've got half of it tied up in the lot, right? So it's all about, there are lot premiums and stuff, but like on an average lot, neighborhood type lot, 20% is roughly the going rate. So but when you guys are out there, and I hear from you guys a lot lately, I was probably hearing about this 10 times a year before this year, before the big inventory crunch. Now I'm hearing about it, once a week from you guys who are looking to buy lots for your customers so they can have homes built. When you do that, you want to go through what I went through with our agent in Tampa, which is an analysis of what they want to build, what it's going to be worth when they get done, and now they can decide what they can afford to pay for the land. Okay, that is a brief thing. I'm not going to get into commercial on this unless you guys have specific examples, but I really don't want to get into commercial on this. There's so many different niches in commercial, and everything it's very convoluted. But for residential property, if you don't know what it's worth, now somewhere like Wedgefield, there's plenty of comps and stuff like that, but also some of those lots are 30% buildable, and some of them are 90% buildable because there's a lot of wetlands out there. So when you have a lot that has a premium of any kind, backs up to wetlands, a lot of people back up to conservation areas, whatever, as opposed to backing up to somebody whose swimming pool is right in your backyard and they can see you. It's a different kind of lot. So, or something that's in an area that's farther out, like a Poinciana or Haines City or something like that, or just something that's way out there. That's a whole different animal. Do you guys have any questions on that so far?
Hey, Ryan, it's John.
Yes.
How are you?
Good, John.
Good. Hey, I thank you for the information that you gave to me the other day. Another thing that I've run into, and you might want to be aware of, is that on some of the land that I've been looking at, it has protected species as far as like plant vegetation, and they have credits. And some of those credits are like somewhere around $400,000, $225,000. I'm not understanding what they're meaning by the credits.
Okay. So they're probably talking about mitigation credits, because areas that you can it's mostly to do with wetlands, and those wetlands are determined a lot of times by wetland vegetation, which a lot of it is protected and stuff like that. Now, this is, you're getting in now to your due diligence study or your feasibility period studies, where you start flagging wetlands and looking at, if you have to disturb the wetlands, a lot of times they're fine. They're just in the backyard, whatever, they're wetlands, you don't mess with them. But if you want to disturb these wetlands, or you have to disturb these wetlands to build the house that you want to build, they're what they call mitigation credits. Okay. So people buy land, they put a conservation easement over this land, which is pretty much giving up all rights to ever do anything to it. And they trade out, because the state wants to keep a certain amount of land completely wild and free, and where all kinds of vegetation grows and it doesn't upset the ecosystem. So there are people out there who run what they call mitigation banks. So and I don't want to get too convoluted in this, but I'm happy to quickly describe it for you. But there are environmental engineering companies who handle these transactions. So they'll say, look, you've got to disturb a 1/4 acre of this wetlands, so we have to buy a 1/4 acre of mitigation credits. If they're looking at over $100,000 or something, then somebody's ripping you off. But it shouldn't be that expensive. But you can do, but you buy a 1/4 acre here, an acre there of mitigation credits. We do it a lot in commercial, but in residential, it's not as much, and it's usually not nearly as much money. You could usually spend somewhere between $10,000 and $50,000 on mitigation credits, depending on how much you're disturbing. But if you disturb the wetlands, if you if you need to build in a certain area, and you have to build that area up by dumping dirt there and covering up the wetlands and the habitats and everything else for creatures and bugs and bunnies and everything else, then you're going to at that point need to get mitigation. And so you're just trading out land with some land out in the middle of nowhere where nobody's ever going to build, and they'll do that. Same for gopher tortoises and all kinds of stuff. People have gopher tortoise habitats and all kinds of stuff, and you've got to pay to remove these gopher tortoises and all that. Sand skinks, all kinds of stuff that they're all creatures who are not necessarily endangered, but they create habitats for other creatures. So interestingly, gopher tortoises are valuable to our ecosystem because they dig. If you've ever seen them, they've got big claws on them and stuff, and they're the big tortoises with the big claws, and they dig holes, and those holes are homes to snakes and other kinds of animals. Snakes, I don't know if you've noticed, though, do not have arms, and so they do not dig. But they live in snake holes, right? It's because they take them over from other animals, other burrowing animals, usually by force. So that's why they're, and all these animals have been deemed to be necessary to our ecosystem, so they're protected, right? They're so protected that you used to be able to pay to kill gopher tortoises, but now you have to relocate them. But funny part, well, not funny, but when they dig up gopher tortoises to remove them, they'd use a backhoe thing, and a lot of times it comes up with like half a tortoise. So it's pretty gross. So moving on. But that's all part of your feasibility, your due diligence study, all that kind of stuff, to make sure the land is buildable. Environmental engineers typically are very affordable. It's, you'll spend a couple $1,000s with them, depending on what you're doing. But when you're selling stuff like Bob's lots and Poinciana, typically, I want to say, Bob, and you can verify this, they're typically just street lots with houses built on both sides of them, and they're high and dry and ready to go. So Bob's giving me a nod. So those are very simple, and your feasibility study would typically be just a visit to the local jurisdiction to make sure you can build what you want, just verify you can build what you want to build on it. But one of these things, guys, plans are not necessarily cheap. These people who are undergoing these buildings, plans are not necessarily cheap, and you need to go down with the footprint of what you want to build. Make sure your builder's on board with it, and it says you can place it a certain way on the lot and all that kind of stuff. And you go down to the jurisdiction and make sure that you can build what you want to build there. You talk to environmental engineers, make sure they flag the wetlands and that you know that you can build what you want to build there. Wetlands in your backyard are not a problem, but wetlands, if you're going to have a setback from the wetlands as well. So make sure that setback does not intrude on your footprint. If it does, so John, you may not even be trying to build where it's actually wet, but you probably have a 50-foot setback, 100-foot setback, something like that. So you do have to mitigate that part of the wetlands to get to where you can build 100 feet from it or 50 feet from it, whatever the jurisdiction says.
Yeah.
You can always try for a variance to go before the city council or county commission and get a variance. But that's a pretty touchy subject and you have to have a good reason for it. And typically, if it makes the lot completely unusable, they'll work with you a little bit, but a lot of times they'll say, well, you're just gonna have to mitigate that wetlands.
Right.
Any other questions on that? I know that's a lot of new words and new stuff, guys, and I don't mean to have your eyes glaze over with it, but if you have any questions regarding that or anything else, just let me know.
Thank you, Ryan.
No problem. Good luck. Any other questions or comments on that? Awesome. Awesome. We were going to talk about something else too. I thought I put it in the thing, but now I'm having a hard time remembering what it was. Apologize. Anything else you guys want to talk about? I guess we're done with that. I thought that was going to take longer. Anything else you guys want to talk about?
Should we talk about the agent harassing some of us for that 0.5%? I mean,
yeah, you know, it's funny. I got another question about that yesterday from another agent. Texted me a question. Guys, try to email me your questions if you can. I get hundreds of texts a day, and it's hard to remember what I've responded to and what I didn't, and all that stuff. So yeah, yes, people. Someone asked me. They received an offer like similar to what Vivian just went through, where they are they put on the offer 3% commission, and that's not what was offered. It was offered at 2.5%, and they put it on the additional terms of the contract, 3% commission. That is not appropriate. That is not what you do. You cannot negotiate that. It's a violation of our realtor code. So do not do that. Do not accept that when people do it. You are working for exactly what the MLS says that you're working for when you agree to take the deal. When you find out later that the other side is making more money than you thought, a wise man once told me, never count another man's money. Don't worry about other people's money, worry about your money. Yes, Bob.
Who does the mitigation money go to, and when is it charged to the buyer?
Great. It's charged if you want it, then it's charged to you. It's charged when you get the ability to move the dirt. Who gets the money? Partially the mitigation bank, which is a business, right? Somebody with a lot of money goes and buys a bunch of land and makes it a mitigation bank. They could never develop it anyway. Probably it's out in the middle of nowhere. So they create a mitigation bank where this land could never ever be touched. Okay. Then they sell bits and pieces of it, 1/4 acre, 1/10 of an acre, whatever it is that you need. They sell it to the environmental engineer who sells it to you. So who gets the money? A little bit to the environmental engineer and more of it to the mitigation bank. So you're just.
I work for a mitigation bank, and you don't get a credit like 1/4 acre to 1/4 acre necessarily. It depends on what the environmental engineer says you're impacting and the level of mitigation that they're going to require. So it's not, there's no check and balance. They can hold you hostage for 5 acres just as easily as they can for 15.
Yeah, so the money goes to the mitigation bank and it goes to the environmental engineer. A lot of times the environmental engineers will already own a bunch of credits. They'll have credits left over from some other job they did or whatever, so they'll be already holding on to some. And they'll tell you, I've got 1/4 acre at a good deal right now, you know, because it's something they're not in the business of holding on to mitigation credits, tying up their money either. All right. And they refund it to you if they don't need all of it or whatever happens. They'll refund your money, so they end up holding credit sometimes. Good question, Bob. Thank you. Any other questions? Let's talk about love letters. I want to talk to you guys about love letters. Okay, how many of you guys are familiar with what the NAR recently said about love letters? And there was something, we talked about it a couple of months ago because there was some local chatter about it. Who can tell me what the NAR said? Anybody? Came to us in an email a couple weeks ago, maybe a week ago.
Discrimination.
Yeah, I challenge any of you to write a love letter that does not disclose something about a protected class. Does not, it's almost impossible to not say, I'm a single mom, we're just trying to start our family. We're, you know, whatever it is, we want to get out of the city because of the crime and the this and the that, or whatever it is. We want to find a good school district for our kids. Guys, you're disclosing familial status. You're disclosing all kinds of stuff when you do this. Your preference, you know, you're disclosing all kinds of stuff when you write a letter. It's almost impossible to write one without disclosing some sort of protected class, one side or the other that you're on. So be sure.
What if the buyer writes it and you're just sending it? You didn't write it, you're just sending it.
Tammy, what if the seller says, I don't want any of those kind in my neighborhood? I mean, you're not saying it, but you're working with someone who's saying it. So okay. You can't do that. Okay. So then this isn't the kind of thing that you walk away from a client. You're supposed to walk away from those clients, but you don't walk away from a client who writes a love letter. Just guys, love letters occasionally get the deal. You guys have all seen it happen. Those of you who've been in the business a while, you've seen love letters win deals for you, or they tell you they do. But right now, terms are winning deals. Right. So win your deals with the terms. That's what's winning deals. Only kind of love letter they want to see is the one I showed you guys earlier, where we're waiving the appraisal. You know, that's a love letter if I've ever seen one. So, you know, and it's perfectly fine to say my clients really love your house. They'll take great care of it, and that's about it, right? But you know, if they're a great couple, you can't say that. You can't say, you know, nothing. Don't do any of that. It's all the stuff that we've done forever with absolutely no ill intentions and no discrimination whatsoever at heart. It's, you know, and the people do it because they're hoping that the seller can relate to it, right? Mm-hmm. Or they're hoping for some kind of sympathy because I'm a single dad and I'm, you know, this and that kind of stuff. Just stay away from it. I'm just recommending that to you guys, because I did have one of you guys ask me, are we not supposed to write love letters anymore? And I'm telling you why you're not supposed to. If they want to write one, and you can go through that and see that there's absolutely no indication of any of these protected classes, then fine, use it. If it's, we love the house and we'll take great care of it, and we really, I mean, you guys have just done the best job ever with your yard and blah, blah, blah. And it's just, you know, flattery and all this stuff. Fine, go ahead. But make sure, and you can coach your buyers on it. Take this out, take that out, right? We want to start our family, take that out. You know, we want great schools for our kids, take that out.
Ryan, if
Yes.
I'm
Yes,
representing the seller and I get love letters from buyers, do I just not show them to the seller?
I would recommend the same thing, kind of vet them for any kind of protected class.
Okay.
And then just, yeah, I wouldn't show them. I wouldn't show them. Do you want how do you want your seller to decide? Do you want them to decide on the love letter, or do you want them to decide on the best terms? What's best for them?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I mean, there is no law that says you have to present. It's not part of the contract. You do not have to present a love letter.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions or comments on that?
Love letters are great, but as long as they meet those guidelines, but if they don't bring the seller what they want to net for the house, love letters won't matter. Money matters to the sellers. Terms matter.
I would love for one of you guys, if you feel that you're up to it, to write a love letter that does not disclose any kind of protected class that the person's in. It's almost impossible. So it's hard to move people emotionally without telling them about you and what your goals are and what your stuff, you know, and it's hard to say what your goals are if you're not. It's hard. If you're a parent, those of you who are parents know it's hard not to talk about your kids and the schools that you're going to be in.
Unless, Ryan, they only talk, and unless they brag about, you know, how well your house is being kept, how you should be proud of, you know, little things, silly things.
Stupid stuff, like you started to say stupid
sorry.
stuff like that. Well, there you, I think you nailed it.
The seller don't
And-
care about, you know, how well they kept their home or how beautiful it is. They care for the money.
Well, they should, but you guys all know that love letters have worked before. That's why people do them. You know, we talk about this all the time. You know, these things, and you guys have all been solicited by Carissa for gift cards and stuff like that. You know, that's not really Carissa. I hope you know that. But these scams, and we talk about how dumb they are, and then you realize people wouldn't do them. I've been getting, by the way, 4 calls a day from Social Security Administration. Apparently, I have some kind of problem with my Social Security number. It's been suspended. I don't know if you guys have had that, but these scams, the only reason they keep doing them is because they work. People bump. The same reason people do love letters. They work, right? It's the same reason all you guys have told your clients before, write a love letter. Yeah, let them know. Or you've actually done it. And be careful, you doing it is worse, by the way. You guys do it probably because I see other people do it all the time. My client is a struggling working mom and she just wants to get in it. Can't do it. Can't do it. She's not a mom. She's just a person. My client is struggling and can't get, and this is the only house she can afford in town or whatever. That's fine. You just cannot talk about being a mom or anything else. No kids, no moms, no dads, no couples, no trying to start a family, no school districts. Nothing. You can't even talk about school districts because what does that imply? Right? So that's that. You guys can say it's a great area. You guys, they want to be close to shopping, fine. Disclosing that it's a day is not a problem at all. That's their names are on the contract. So just be very careful. And you guys don't make up your, I'm telling you guys, do not make up your own love letters like a lot of agents do. I just feel so bad for this lady. She's trying to raise 3 kids. You guys have all done it. Stop it. Can't do it. All right. Any other questions on that or anything else? Daryl's here now. Daryl, you've got something to talk about, I'm sure. No. Anybody want to brag about how great they're doing? Because you guys are doing great as a group. So hope you guys are doing great individually as well. I'm sure you are.
Actually, I am here and I just made an offer on a personal house, an investment house. Actually, it's 4 blocks of the house that I'm living in now. So yeah, let's see how it goes. I found it on the MLS. It's under market. It needs quite a bit of work, of course. The roof is good. The AC is good. All the systems are good. It's just, I can see it's well underpriced and we'll see how it goes. I just offered above list, of course, like everybody else, cash, and my fingers and toes are crossed.
Awesome. Awesome. Good for you, buddy. Good for you. I hope you get it. Fantastic. Anybody else want to brag like Daryl? Anybody else have anything? How are you guys doing? Tell me what's going on.
Ryan, hello everybody.
Hi, Victoria.
Hi, so I just wanted to mention, since we were talking about mitigation credits and finding land that can be buildable for a home, I do have a listing out in Homosassa. It's a little bit over 1/2 acre and there's no HOA, no CDD. I'll leave the address in the comments, but if you guys are interested, there are neighbors on both sides and even on back of the property too. So,
awesome.
Sorry, that's interested in building. I think this is a potential for them too.
Oh, fantastic. Well,
Awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, Ryan, it's John again. Hey, I found a short sale where the actual structure of the house has been condemned. It's on a little bit over 1/2 acre and they want $59,000 for it in Sarasota. I'm thinking about placing an offer on that.
Okay. So I usually throw in 10,000 for demo, just off the top of my head, but you could probably get estimates for that. I mean, it's not going to be, it's going to be between 5 and 15, I'm sure. I don't know how big the house was. So add that to the price of the lot. And what could you do with that lot? What are the comps in that neighborhood? And add a little bit to it because you'd have a brand new house and stuff like that. But figure out what that is.
Okay.
And then do your math like we talked about before.
Okay. Thank you.
You bet. John, come back on for a second if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
Give us some examples. Have you done the comp work in the neighborhood?
I have
Obviously.
not yet. I just found it.
Okay.
I
All right,
literally
well, keep us updated.
I will. Thank you.
I have a question about door hangers. What have you guys find? Anybody doing door hangers lately? And what have you found? Yes.
I tried door hangers about 2 years ago, and I put out 1,500 of them. And I never realized how many houses 1,500 houses are. And I didn't get one call. And it was a professional looking piece. And I ordered 5,000 of these things. And I was just very disappointed. They simply did not work for me.
Okay. Vivian?
I'll tell you about my recent door hanger. So I had a leak in my water at the main, and I went to turn on my water the other day. I had no water. So I go out to ask my neighbors. They're like, no, you had a leak. OUC was there. So I go around to my door, which I never go in my front door. And I had the door hanger that said, you have a water leak and it's your responsibility to fix, which is under a tree root. So anyway, I don't know that many people even see the door hangers on their front door. I didn't see my water main door hanger.
I will say that a lot of people like myself find them to be annoying because they fall off your door and then they get wet and then they do before you see them, because people park in their garage and walk in the house. So a lot of times that people don't use their front door very often. But door hangers are the kind of thing, if Tammy had walked there and there had been a plumber's door hanger on there, she might have used them, right? But door hangers are kind of like direct mail. Just if you need one right then, great. I am sure that I've called off a door hanger before in my life, but it's it's so easy to Google like a service right now that there's no real reason to. But it's just like direct mail. If people need it right that minute, that's great. If not. But the idea of door hangers, though, guys, is to knock on doors and talk to people. That is working for people. If someone shares a success story in here a week or two ago about going out and talking to people, guys, we recently sold a house in your neighborhood. Look up and make sure it's true, but we sold a house. We are a brokerage. We sold a house in your neighborhood for this much. Would you like us to see what your house is worth right now? Have a spiel that you do, but it absolutely works. Going door to door works. Not just, tying a rock to something and throwing it in somebody's driveway, but, going door to door, actually, it does work. It's hot though. Yes, Daryl.
Hey, Bob, question. The neighborhood that you put out all the door hangers, do they have like a newsletter? Is it a particular area that has a newsletter that you know?
Is that to me, Daryl?
Yes.
To Bob.
Oh, okay. No, it's North Poinciana, no newsletter, nothing like that.
Okay, just a thought. I put out a newsletter. Actually, I had Abby do me up she does an ad for me every month for Williamsburg because I just moved here in December, and the ad works. It's worked very, very well. I'm closing on my second one. When's that closing? Actually, Friday. So I've had an ad in there for what, 4 months, I think. I think we're on our 4th ad right now. $500 a month. Abby does the ad for free. Thank you, Abby. You do great. I send her, what I do is I do a market update to my neighborhood, 3,700 homes. And I show all the solds in the past month. And I do it every month in the newsletter. And yeah, it's paid off tremendously. So everybody needs to check out any newsletters of any communities that they want to advertise in. It's working great for me.
I don't know if any of you guys would like to work with sellers right now. It's tough. You get all these offers and stuff. It's really difficult working with sellers right now. So I don't know if you guys would want to do that. That's sarcasm, sorry. Yes, Romina.
Except sellers want to overprice their houses right now too. And I think it's backing off a little bit. Oh, I think. You don't think?
It's still better. It seems to be cooling off a little bit, but it's still better than working with buyers.
Oh, definitely, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. And at this point, I mean, you think you're overpricing it, and then you get over asking on a lot of stuff.
And I thought I was going to get a lot of sellers with the ad. I've gotten buyers. Actually, I've gotten one buyer. This is the same buyer that I sold the house to, what was it, last month or the month before? I'm selling him a condo now, the same buyer. And I think he's got enough money to buy one more. So it worked out really good this way.
Daryl, I don't know where these buyers are coming from, but one thing you guys will see right now, and I'm seeing this a lot. In fact, that's how I sold my personal house. A lot of the people in these neighborhoods, they've been waiting for a chance to bring mom and dad down or their sister down or wherever from New York and stuff. And then when they see Daryl's their realtor, Daryl's the guy in there. I guarantee you, Daryl, if you're putting all these solds on this thing and you're putting your name and brokerage and everything on there, they think that you sold them. And so they think that Daryl is Mr. Williamsburg, right? Downtown Daryl is now Williamsburg Daryl, right? So that's what they think. And so they'll call you and they'll call their friend or their neighbor, their mom, their sister, whoever from up north and who wants to come down. And they'll say, you got to talk to this Daryl guy. They probably text them a picture of your card or whatever, your newsletter, whatever, right? Your ad. That is, guys, that is all of these. It's like Daryl's getting referrals from people that just think he's a great realtor in Williamsburg. They haven't even worked with him. And I don't know where yours are coming from, Daryl, but I'm just saying that kind of stuff happens a lot. But it's just by getting out there and being what they consider to be the best realtor around here, right? So, Romina, you had something to say.
Yes, I'm talking about the door hangers and things that people leave. I'm on a group on Facebook. It's all about real estate, ladies rock real estate. And somebody posted something, this realtor, that she was putting those things on her neighborhood, and somebody from the same neighborhood tagged her or put this on Facebook. It said, this realtor explicitly violates the rules of communities. This person will definitely set you up for disaster if you buy from them. Be aware. And then it put a bad review. It says he doesn't recommend this lady, this girl. So she was very upset because she did a little beautiful look, door hanging, very nice for, like a little house. And so I thought it depends of which community you go, if the rules, I don't know. So I don't know if it's every single one you're supposed to do it, or if you're violating some type of rule in any community. That's what I don't know.
Well, it should be posted. It should be posted to the community, no soliciting, stuff like that at the front of the community. You see that a lot in the community.
Is it on Facebook? If somebody's calling you out or something on Facebook, it gives you a chance to reply. You can easily reply on Facebook and take their negativity right back down.
But it was the guy next door. So it was her neighbor who actually, said that on Facebook. He said that.
Still, it's their word against your word. And just like Google reviews, remember I got a bad review, what was it, 6 months ago from a client? I got a bad review, which, hello, do I ever get bad reviews? No, this lady was just crazy. And I replied to her and I said, hey, I even saved you from a freaking lawsuit, potential lawsuit. You were off like $135 on the monthly HOA fee. I saved you from a lawsuit from the buyer. And now you're giving me a bad review after you said thank you for selling my condo for more than, a lot of the other condos that have sold recently. So it still gives you can reply to it.
Yeah, it was more about like if it's okay to do it or not, more like if it's against the rules of the communities, or it depends on where you go. That was pretty much, because I know that she could probably reply and everything, but she was so, disappointed, or I don't know.
Well, obviously there was some kind of contention there, or some kind of bone of contention before all of this stuff. Nobody gets that mad about a door hanger on their door.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but you're gonna have crazies and stuff like that. I typically wouldn't worry about it that much. I mean, if somebody runs you off, they run you off. they're typically not going to be that upset where they're going to go and bash you on social media. So, but just look for the signs that say no solicitation. If they have an HOA rule about no solicitation, but they don't post it anywhere, then I mean, you're a person out there doing your job. There's nothing wrong with that. Just check for no solicitation signs.
Okay.
Yes, Bob.
How do you tell if a lot has an impact fee on it and how much the impact fee is?
It's the jurisdiction sets the impact fee. So you can make a phone call to that jurisdiction. So if it's in a city or a county jurisdiction, you call them and say, what are your impact fees?
Like the county tax record department, or?
You just the permitting that they'll know what the fee is. It'll be pretty common knowledge around there. And it's usually $12,000 to $20,000, something like that, depending on the jurisdiction. So guys, impact fee is something that you have to pay before you build for impacting the roads and schools and everything else. But Bob, you're very rarely do they have impact credits. They'll let you know if they do. That's where they already paid it and they started, maybe they were going to build and then they never did for whatever reason. Usually people will pay that right when they're ready to break ground because they don't want to pay it before. So impact fees will sometimes be prepaid, but very rarely. And they'll let you know if they are. If they have impact, I mean, that makes it worth, an additional $12,000, $15,000, $18,000. So they'll let you know. But yes, impact fees are a real thing. For example, John was talking about tearing down a house and building a new one. He probably won't have impact fees. That's probably, those impact fees are already there. He's not impacting it any more than the old house was, unless he builds a 5-bedroom and there was a 2-bedroom. Actually, it's bathrooms typically that drive that for those as well. So just keep that kind of stuff in mind. And it's different in every jurisdiction. Anything else? Any other comments or questions?
Okay, I do. So I do have a guy that's been looking at lots because he wanted a new construction home in a no HOA neighborhood. So if he only really wanted to spend a total of $325 to say $350, then the most for a lot he should really spend is about $70.
Okay.
And have to realize if he can even build for $280 in this crazy market.
There you go. Theoretically speaking, a guy who wants a brand new house for $375 is either going to be in a neighborhood where the house is right next to him. Or did you say $350, $375? What'd you say?
Yeah, $350. He started out $330, but he's probably going to be at $350 now.
Let's say $350. So he wants to do that. And he is going to either be out in
St. Cloud, yes.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Somewhere like that. Or he is, and he's going to probably not have a lot of equity. It's hard to build a house for not a lot of money right now, right? So he's either going to, and that's I want a brand new house with no HOA. That is where you're going to typically spend a little bit more than $350. A brand new house anywhere is right now, is most of them are over $350. But yeah, he's going to have to decide what he wants to build. So this is the kind of guy that needs a plan first and a couple of quotes on it to talk with the builder and say, yeah, I'll build that house on your lot for $250,000. Then he knows what he can pay for the land.
Right.
This is when I use that 20% rule. That's not a steadfast thing. If this guy if he wants to spend $350 and he wants a 4-bedroom, 3-bath, with a pool, then he's going to have to go. He talk to Bob down there in Poinciana, right?
Yeah, really.
But if he wants or maybe he can put a mobile home on a really nice 10-acre tract, whatever he wants to do. So, but he needs to figure out, he needs to work it backwards, just do the math. I want this house that I'm going to build, this 3-2, just a regular house on a nice lot, but just with no HOA. He'll probably be just fine. Depending on how nice he wants the finishes and stuff like that, he's going to be somewhere between 110 and 150 bucks a square foot on building, probably, assuming he's not building not at 350, he's not building the Taj Mahal. So just decent finishes and stuff like that, probably 125 bucks a foot. And if he wants to build 2,000 square feet, that's what 30. Well, no, that's too much already. So where he's at 2,500 or I'm sorry, 250. No, he can build 2,000 square feet, 250. Spend 70 on the lot and have a few bucks left over for everything else. Okay.
I have a question about FERPA. You might probably be able to answer. There is, I have a client who he's from outside the country, but also the seller is from outside the country. So when we were doing the contract and everything, that the listing agent sent me a text saying, oh, do you want me to send you the FERPTA form or something, addendum, I don't know. So what I knew is that the seller is the one who actually is gonna be retain the 15% for the FERPTA. But what does apply to the buyer as well?
Only if it is not handled correctly by the title company. It's the only liability to the buyer. So your job as the buyer's agent is to make sure that the title company is withholding that. It'll show up on the pre-HUD that it's going to FERPTA. 15% of the total purchase price is going to FERPTA. Guys, we've done a training on FERPTA, and we had a expert in here on FERPTA. There is 15%. So the reason they do that, I'm sure a lot of you guys know, is if I don't pay my taxes, they'll freeze my accounts and eventually throw me in jail. If I live in Saudi Arabia, they can't get to me. The American government can't get to me. So if I don't pay my taxes, they're just out the money. So the American government, the IRS, would rather hold your money and give you back the change than try to chase you for money if you don't live here. So they withhold 15%. There used to be 10% 5-6 years ago. It was 10%. Now it's 15%. And so your client can either, if you got the seller can either file an 8828 through an accountant where they get the money back in 10 weeks or so, or they can wait till they file their taxes and get whatever money is left over back. But either way, they have to go through an accountant.
I need to talk to the title company and let them know that.
Oh, they'll already know, because they're going to get the documents. That's their job. You just make sure they do their job.
Okay, so I just have to be aware, and that's it, very much.
You have to be vigilant and make sure that they're doing their job, and your buyer will not have a problem. It won't cost them a dime.
Okay, perfect.
Right? And it doesn't matter that they're foreign.
Okay.
It's irrelevant. Anyone else? So to avoid that, just so you guys know, you have to have there's no way to avoid it, but it will come into play if you're dealing with non-citizens that have not lived in the house for a certain amount of time and over a certain amount of money, which I believe is still $300,000. All right, but the title company knows all those rules, and they'll ask all those questions. They send out seller information sheets that ask for their social security numbers. And they'll ask them, are you a U.S. citizen? And they'll ask them, how long did you live there? And they'll ask them all kinds of stuff, and they'll know the price. So they'll know whether or not it applies as well. But know your rules. A quick Google search will help you on that. And we have a training on here on it. Isaiah's no, it has nothing to do with where they live. There are people who live here who have to pay for it, but it depends on if they're citizens or not.
One more thing. I had so many things in my head to ask, I guess, that I put like a little list. Okay, I've been working with another buyer. I already did 5 offers and they all been rejected, obviously. I don't know what to do. I need some type of help with that, because actually they live in New York. They came, now they left. And now, well, they wanted to buy a property. They're not even FHA, they're conventional, 310,000 approved, well, pre-approved. So there's any way I can try to, make a better offer, I should say. I don't know.
Well, a lot of people right now are listening to you and saying, only 5? You already have said only 5, you only made 5 offers?
Well, that's a lot.
Well, yeah, but it's not right now. So don't give up. They're going to, what percentage are they putting down?
5.
That's what's hurting you. People get scared when they see that, and they think 5%? That it's, 5%. Yeah, they get scared when they see that. And the reason they get scared when they see that, not that there's any business if they got to pay PMI or whatever, they don't care about that. But what they care about is when this appraisal comes up short, which it probably will if I'm going to get the kind of money. look, the seller's mindset is,
Hmm.
I want more than appraisal. I want more than it's worth, right? That's what the seller's mindset is. I want more than it's worth. And really, as a listing agent, best thing you can say is, I mean, who out there can't get somebody appraisal right now? I mean, anybody can get somebody the appraised value, but you know, you did a great job for your seller when you get them 25 grand over appraisal, right? When you come in at 5% on $310,000, I'm thinking that these people are using their last nickels to rub together to buy this house, right? That's what everybody's thinking. Give me some nods out there if any other agents are thinking that this isn't. Are these people going to be able to go over appraisal? Probably not much, right?
5% is just like FHA. FHA is only 3.5%, so it's almost like an FHA.
Yeah, the only thing better than that, it's pretty much identical to an FHA, only it's a little bit better because I don't have to make all the repairs before the closing or anything like that. And I don't have the FHA
And I'm not saying
inspection.
anything bad about FHA. There's just so many other buyers out there that has 10, 20 cash. I mean, there's so many other buyers out there that have really good money down.
Yeah. So
you have to make your offers as strong as possible. 5% is not strong at all. And then you have to go with inspection periods, and you have to go with the closing dates. You have to make your offers look fantastic. That's the only way. That's what I just did. The house I just offered on you, I cut everything down, cut everything off, zero inspection, blah, blah, blah. But that's how you got to do it.
I did no inspection on 2 of the properties because they were pretty much new, but I also offer money above, like, you know, if the appraiser comes short, they're willing to put money above that, like 10,000. So I don't know if I should now change then the down payment amount if it makes it better. So I didn't know that it probably will be better than offering money above appraisal. I don't know which way was better.
no, they'd rather have money above appraisal, but if you're looking at these houses and you're going over asking on these as well.
Some of them, some are no. Some
Okay.
of them, because it's not possible.
So like Tammy said, people, they want over asking. They're asking too much. So then they want over asking or at asking if they know they're asking way too much. But they know, and Tammy is advising them that it's not gonna appraise for this much, right? So we have an offer for 310, but we know our house is worth 285. It's not gonna appraise. Here's all the comps. I know it's only gonna appraise at 280 to 285. Okay,
Exactly.
so what they want, and 10,000 over doesn't do me much good. I don't care if you offer me 550 for that house. If you're not going to go much above appraisal, it doesn't matter. So what Tammy's telling them when she gets that offer from you, that's at 310 for this house that's worth 280, 285, and you're going 10,000 over appraisal, is that's great. So that's going to get us to 290 or 295. And her sellers are saying, no, we got these other offers for 300, 305. Why would we do that? So that's what's hurting them. You have to have cash in this market. You really do if you want to get a house. It doesn't matter how much you promise to overpay for it because it's not going to appraise. And so you're advertising there that, and obviously honestly $10,000, that's only another 3% down. So I mean, maybe they could get to 10%, but that doesn't do any good if they're not going to go over appraisal. You know what I mean? So the more they can go over appraisal, that's all that matters. And then use a contingency, you know, waive their appraisal contingency. Say we'll pay cash for everything. You know,
Do they have any fun? Do they have any funds like in a 401k or retirement plan they can pull out?
No, they don't. I mean, this is not like those, you know, clients that they can put a lot of money on top. So they only have, at this point, they can only put no more, including everything, 40,000, including everything. So they only have like 40 for the closing, for the down payment, for extra money to put. So I've been doing all these offers different ways, trying to get the attention of the seller, obviously, but I know there's a lot of people buying cash, but you know.
Okay, well, here's your thing. If they really have 40, if they're not just telling you that, if they really have 40, and remember, sometimes buyers are liars, but if they really have 40, they're only putting 15 down for the house at 5% of 300,000. They're only putting 15 down. Yeah. So have them go 20 over appraisal, and then you got a deal.
20,000 above appraisal. Okay.
Yeah, up to $20,000 between appraised value and contracted purchase price.
Okay.
If they can make that 20 in that price range, they should have a deal shortly. Would you guys
But
agree to that?
Even 15 might do it, I think, at that price range, possibly.
15?
Well, Romina sounds like she's tired of Mike do it. She
Yeah,
wants
I
to do
mean,
it.
20, yeah.
No, I just don't want them to give up. I mean, I'm trying, and they're very, they're very nice and everything, but they're like, every time they say no to them, it's like, oh my God, are we gonna be able to buy a house? Are we, it's that thing that you want them to keep them.
Romina,
Yes.
Romina, real quick, just to make you feel better, the last buyer that I've been working with, it took me 7 offers before they got accepted.
Oh,
Okay.
so I have 2 more to go.
Yes,
Yeah.
it took me
Oh, yeah,
7 times.
7's a max. No, some of you guys have a lot bigger stories than that out there, 15 offers and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So,
don't give up.
No, I
but
won't.
don't give up, but you're afraid your client's going to give up instead of getting the house that they want. It is the best thing to do for your clients is to be honest. Guys, if you want to buy a house, this is what you need to do. Otherwise, you're wasting their time, your time, everything else. If you want to buy a house, this is what you need to do. I would tell them, make that 20,000.
Okay.
Okay. If you want to buy a house, and if it appraises and it's only 10,000 short, great. Save $10,000. Right.
Okay.
But either way, and they're only paying, I mean, tell them, oh my gosh, another 10,000. Well, that's 10,000 less that you're borrowing. You decided the house was worth $300,000, $310,000, whatever you offered on it. Every 10,000 that they put down their mortgage is going to be less, right? That's how that works. So, and every 10,000, you're like, yay, it appraised. Well, your mortgage is going to be more, but at least you save 10,000 in your pocket. Okay. So, I mean, it's guys, appraisals are just appraisals. That's just what the bank will loan on the property. That's it. That's not what they'll loan. That's what they'll base their loan off of on the property. Okay. Well, what you decide to pay for the house is the most important thing. I decided the house is worth $310,000 because that's what it's worth to me. Okay. Everything else, it's my job to come up with all that money. If the bank won't loan it all to me, I got to come up with it. If the bank will loan it all to me, great. I can keep some of my cash, but now I owe the bank more than I would have. So, I mean, it's I hate to say it's just money, but once you make the decision what it's worth, it's just money. It comes from somewhere. Either it comes from my pocket or it comes from the bank's pocket. It comes from the bank's pocket, I owe them more. If I have to come up with more, I owe them less. Right? So
yeah, that's.
I mean, so just be honest with your clients and say, look, this is what we're going to have to do. Appraisals are not keeping up with the market. They're not keeping up with the demand and lack of supply. But they're getting better typically, and demand's going down a little bit, which is good. So any other questions or comments?
Hello, I have a question.
Yes.
Hello. Yes, we have a new listing coming next few weeks, and we have a problem. The property has a bat, and the roof and the wall. Everything is damaged by the bat, and we can't take the bat outside this property because they are protected until September. Can we still list it on MLS as a property for sale, or we have to wait until the bats are removed?
You can list it. You can list anything with a disclosure. I would disclose right there on the MLS that it has a bat issue. Do you have they're protected until September?
Yeah, because of animal, the states will find if you remove it from the property. So we have to wait until September. I called Animal Service to remove it.
Okay. All right. So if you get it removed and then repair and replace everything, then you just have to disclose that it existed at some point. If you sell it now, I mean, if you sell it now, they're not going to move in until September anyway. So you can say, hey, you disclose it and say we're going to take care of it. Are they?
But we can sell it as it is. Like
you can.
Somebody.
You can just disclose. You can sell it with anything. I mean, you can sell it with a sinkhole. You just have to disclose it, right? You can sell it with anything. You just have to disclose. But if you're going to sell, if they're not in a rush, I would rather take care of the bat and sell it in September. I just think
they don't want to wait. They want the owner, she wants to sell it as soon as possible.
There you have it. Yep, you absolutely can do it. Just disclose that there's a bat issue. And if it makes people feel better, you'll get rid of the bat before closing, we'll negotiate that.
Oh
Otherwise,
yeah,
the bat conveys.
yeah. They damage the property very bad. I mean, from the roof and from the walls. So
Yeah.
they reduce the value of the property a lot.
Sure, it sounds like it. Okay. How many bats are there?
100.
Oh, okay. Okay. At first I thought it was just a bat, one bat.
No, it's a lot. It's a lot.
Oh, it sounds like it. Yeah. How do you get bats out? That's, I haven't heard that one. That's good.
Yeah,
That's a
this is the
great
first
question.
time. This is the first time I meet this situation. I mean, this condition. I never see a property like this, and they want to sell it. It's a kind of long story, so that's why.
Oh, good.
I mean,
Well, Vivian just made a good point. In your description, I would also say no mosquitoes. You know, you're going to put a positive spin on it. You're not going to have a lot of bug problems. These bats are cleaning it up. But you will have guano issues, which is bat excrement, which is not good. So I'd rather have mosquitoes, I think. But let's, yeah, just disclose, but just it's got, just disclose it has bat issues, which would be the first. I haven't even seen a disclosure ever say that, but disclose it also, and go ahead and disclose it on the MLS, so you don't have to go through a bunch of people looking at it and like, what's going on here? Oh, it's got bats. Some people don't like bats, but if you can, you know, you can negotiate getting rid of them before they get in, or whatever you want to negotiate on that, or just as is, bats and all.
yeah, just as you know, the state fine up to $5,000 fine if you remove it outside season. I just find out.
I just found out there's a bat season.
Yeah.
So I didn't know that. Learned that today. Oh, that's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah, thank you.
That is interesting. Congrats on having the most interesting listing of the day for sure. Yeah, good luck with that, and just disclose it. You'll be fine.
Thank you.
You bet. Anyone else?
Yes, hi, Ryan. I have a quick question. I have a request to list a vacant lot in Winter Garden, and I have been trying to pull the address off, and I'm not able to, so that I can do comms. So.
What you can't find a street name, or it just doesn't have a number yet?
I have the street name. I have the address. It's just not coming up on the MLS under sold.
What do you mean it's not coming up on the MLS under sold?
I tried to type it up on the sold vacant land, but it's not.
It probably wasn't on MLS. Not everything is sold on MLS. A lot of people just sell stuff. So it may not come up. You're trying to see the last time it was sold? Right. Oh, you can find that on the property appraiser site.
I went on the appraiser site. I'm not able to pull it up either.
Maybe, perhaps it was split off of another lot. So it was never sold. But it still should be its own property.
Try the, what are the numbers, Ryan? That's not the legal description. That's the what?
Property ID?
Property ID. I found things through a property ID when I couldn't find the address.
Yeah, but she doesn't have a property ID because it's not on MLS either. So she can't find property ID anywhere.
She can get a tax bill from them.
Well, you don't have to have all that stuff to list the property. The owner should have a deed to it, and that's where you get your legal. So there's got to be a deed somewhere.
Okay.
It doesn't matter what they paid for it. It doesn't. So all you're looking for is a legal, and you can take that legal down to the city of Winter Garden, assuming it's in the city, not just a Winter Garden address. But if it's in the city, if it's just an unincorporated Orange County, you got to go to the county. But they will have a property ID for it and stuff as well. But they'll have any kind of information that you need on it. But you'll have the legal to put in, and it actually has an address, which sometimes a lot of times you'll see 0 Gateway Street or something like that. That's a lot that doesn't have an address. It's just a lot. But yeah, there shouldn't be any problem selling it. I mean, it's perfectly legal to sell it, but just make sure it has a deed and it's got its own legal address. I would take it down to the city to verify.
So I should take it down to the city or the owner?
Oh, depends on how much you want to do for them.
Okay, so I have the information that he sent down. So, okay. All right, thank you.
All right, Joy. Well, that was interesting too. Not as interesting as bats, but that was interesting too. Anybody else? Nope. Awesome, guys. It was a great time talking with you guys. A great meeting. Anybody have any kinds of questions or comments before we go? No. Awesome. Well, thank you guys.
Ryan,
Yes.
On a side note, I am hearing a lot of people getting this COVID. And, you know, being agent, we're out there, a lot of families, I don't know what's going on, but quite a few close friends of mine, the whole family, they have COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. As agent,
I know a couple of folks who were vaccinated who
that too,
and got bad symptoms.
Yeah.
So it's a strange thing going on. So
yeah.
I mean, vaccinated or non-vaccinated, wearing masks or not wearing masks, all that stuff, it's crazy. So yeah, it's frustrating. You get the vaccine and you're not supposed to have to wear a mask. Now people are getting it and you're supposed to wear a mask, and who knows? I think that they can't keep up.
No.
So I don't know. That's just I don't know what's going on. But yes, I'm hearing that a lot too. Now, obviously it's on the news as well that it's spiked back up again. So be careful out there, guys. Any other questions or comments? In fact, Abdul, I would like for you to wear a mask next week at the meeting, at the Zoom. All right.
In your office.
Yeah, all alone at home. Yeah. All right, guys. We'll see you next week, and be careful. Stay away from the virus and go find some customers to hang out with.
Hey, Ryan.
Yes, sir.
Ryan, it's like, ever see a single person in the car with a mask on?
Yeah.
Driving.
Yeah, you gotta be careful. Never be too careful.
Have a great weekend, Ryan.
All right, guys. Take care, everybody. See you next week.